I'm sorry, Linda. This business trip is absolutely necessary, Michael said apologetically, gazing at Linda's swollen belly. The setting sun streaming through the large living room window softly illuminated his troubled expression. Their new living room, decorated with wedding photos and baby items, reflected the anticipation of their new family life together. It's all right. This is your important project, isn't it? The baby and I are both doing fine, so don't worry, Linda replied with a gentle smile. Drawing from her 7 years of experience as a pediatric nurse at Kaiser Permanente Medical Center, where she had attended numerous births, she knew her condition was stable. Just last week, her doctor had assured her that everything was fine. Still, she couldn't help feeling anxious about her husband's absence when she was just 2 weeks away from her due date. Especially when she thought about her relationship with her mother-in-law Barbara and sister-in-law Caitlin. Even at yesterday's Sunday brunch, their cold attitude hadn't changed. Mom said to call if anything happens, Michael said. Linda gave a vague smile in response. True, Barbara had said that. But Linda could sense the sarcasm behind those words. If you had married the woman I chose, we wouldn't have to worry like this. Barbara's preferred choice had been the daughter of a fellow high school teacher, a Stanford graduate who was now a successful lawyer. Every time Linda was compared to her, she felt her heart constrict. 3 years into their marriage, Barbara's dismissal of Linda as just a nurse, despite her professional career, and Caitlin's possessiveness over her brother's affection, their relationship showed no signs of improvement. Especially since Barbara lost her husband 3 years ago, her attachment to Michael had intensified, making her treatment of Linda increasingly harsh. Since Linda's pregnancy was announced, the situation had only deteriorated. Even during the 4th of July celebrations, Caitlin had deliberately pushed Linda to the edge when taking family photos. In the pictures later posted on social media, Linda had been cropped out entirely. Why didn't you have children earlier? It's risky having a baby at your age. A mere nurse becoming a stay-at-home mom. You're just living off my brother's income. Such remarks were casually thrown at her by her mother-in-law and sister-in-law. At HOA meetings, they spread rumors about how Linda might ruin Michael's chance for promotion. Linda had considered checking into the hospital early, but after Barbara's dismissive comment about her being pampered, she had to abandon that idea. Don't hesitate to call if you need anything. In this heat, I'm usually up late anyway, called out Mary, her neighbor, after finishing her garden work at dusk. A former police officer now immersed in writing mystery novels, she had been concerned about Linda's pregnancy from the start. Her keen observation skills, honed over 30 years on the force, hadn't missed the strain in Linda's relationship with her in-laws. Linda, this is advice from my police days. You might want to install a recording app on your smartphone, just in case. This isn't paranoia. I've seen many family tragedies in my time on the force. Though somewhat hesitant, Linda followed Mary's earnest advice. As she downloaded the recording app to her iPhone, she realized the gravity of her situation, that she needed such precautions. A feeling of resignation crept into her heart, wondering if her relationship with her in-laws had finally reached a point of no return. One night, Linda woke up to a sharp pain. The small bedside lamp illuminated her pale face. When she touched the sheets, they felt warm. Checking with her phone's light, she saw red stains spreading. But there's still 10 days until my due date. Her 7 years of nursing experience immediately made her understand the severity of the situation. Early rupture of membranes with heavy bleeding, if left untreated, it could be dangerous for both mother and baby. With trembling hands, she reached for her smartphone. Mary's words flashed through her mind. Just in case, the recording app. She quickly started the recording. Michael would be preparing for his important presentation at his New York hotel right now. His phone went straight to voicemail. Barbara. Mom's house is right there. Linda struggled to her feet. Blood was seeping through her nightgown, but there was no time to worry about that. She picked up her smartphone and stumbled down the stairs. The mere 0.3-mile distance felt like an eternity at that moment. Finally reaching her mother-in-law's house, the 30-year-old colonial-style building loomed in the moonlight. The Ring doorbell camera mechanically recorded her presence. Mom. Caitlin. Please wake up. The sound of her pressing the intercom and knocking broke the silence. Soon, lights came on upstairs, and heavy footsteps descended the stairs. What on earth are you doing at this hour? Barbara opened the door wearing an expensive silk nightgown. Behind her stood Caitlin, smartphone in hand. Mom, please call an ambulance, the baby. My goodness, you're being so dramatic. Look at you, all worked up. Barbara's voice carried its usual coldness. You're overreacting. There's no need for the hospital. Aren't you a nurse? You should know your own condition. At those words, Caitlin smirked and pointed her smartphone at Linda. That's right. You can handle the birth yourself, can't you? You're a nurse, after all. The flash went off, capturing Linda's anguished expression. That photo would have been posted on social media, if the night had gone as they planned. Please, call an ambulance. Linda's consciousness was becoming hazy. Cold sweat ran down her back, and her vision started to blur. Still, the recording continued. That's enough. You might cost my son his chance at promotion. Do you understand how important this project is? Barbara's voice was growing distant. Caitlin's mocking laughter overlapped with it. Linda collapsed to her knees. The cold marble of the entrance touched her hot cheek as consciousness slipped away. White ceiling. The smell of disinfectant. The regular beeping of heart monitors. As consciousness returned, the familiar hospital atmosphere stimulated Linda's senses. This environment was nothing new to her. The latest medical equipment in the ICU special care unit quietly monitored her recovery. I'm glad you're awake, the nurse at her bedside said kindly. Next to her stood a police officer in uniform. And by the window was Mary, looking relieved. Outside, the strong California sun streamed into the room. The clock showed 1 p.m. 12 hours had passed since the incident. The 4-drip quietly dropped, and the monitors showed stable vital signs. The baby. As Linda tried to sit up frantically, the nurse raised her hand to stop her. The sudden movement nearly dislodged the epidural needle. Don't worry. We performed an emergency C-section successfully. It's a girl, 2,500 grams. She's under observation in the NICU, but her condition is stable. Her APGAR score is good, and she's surprisingly healthy for a premature baby. Large tears rolled down Linda's cheeks at these words. The surgical wound hurt, but it was proof that her baby was safe. Her heart rate increased slightly, triggering a small alarm on the monitor. Mrs. Linda. The police officer stepped forward. It was Detective Johnson from the Santa Clara County Police, with a badge showing 30 years of distinguished service shining on his chest. If you're able to talk, I'd like to confirm the events of last night. Please don't push yourself. Post-operative rest is crucial. Linda nodded slightly. The nurse raised her bed and offered her water with ice. The cold water soothed her parched throat after surgery. Actually, we found crucial evidence on your smartphone. The Technical Investigation Unit's analysis just came in. The detective continued carefully, choosing his words. On the desk lay a clear evidence bag containing Linda's iPhone. The recording captured everything. Your mother-in-law and sister-in-law's statements, your pleas for help, and... The recording lasted 1 hour and 12 minutes. Sound analysis shows no signs of editing or manipulation. The detective paused and sighed deeply. Even with 30 years of experience, the cruelty of this case seemed to affect him. Among the police officers at the scene, this incident had caused quite a shock. Without the alert, it could have been much worse. The doctors say both mother and child were in critical danger if left untreated. Your temperature was rising, and blood pressure was at dangerous levels. Just then, hurried footsteps were heard in the hallway. The heavy door opened, and a new person entered. The new detective handed a medical report to Detective Johnson. The envelope bore the letterhead, Kaiser Permanente Medical Center Obstetrics Department. Dr. Watson, the head of obstetrics, explained the report's contents. A surgical cap from the recent emergency operation peeked out of his white coat pocket. Normally, it's inconceivable not to call an ambulance in this situation. Especially since Linda is an experienced nurse. She made the correct professional judgment, but was prevented from acting on it. This is clearly criminal behavior. Detective Johnson reviewed the documents, organizing the situation. Crime scene photos and evidence lists were spread on the desk. When the paramedics arrived, Barbara Wilson and Caitlin Wilson were acting as if nothing had happened, pretending to be asleep. However, the security camera's infrared footage shows they were definitely awake. The air in the hospital room froze for a moment. Only the heart monitor continued its quiet beeping. But the security camera footage and smartphone recording tell the whole story. They clearly ignored your plea for help, and even mocked your suffering. The district attorney's office believes this strongly indicates criminal negligence. The detective took out a tablet showing the recording's waveform. The clear pattern eloquently told the story of that night. The recording was perfect. The audio analysis shows no signs of editing or manipulation. This will stand as clear evidence. The prosecution believes they have sufficient evidence for indictment. Then, an even more shocking fact came to light. Another smartphone was produced from the evidence. On Caitlin's smartphone, we found photos of you in distress. There were attempts to post them on social media. She even had a draft comment ready saying, "Some nurse, making such a fuss?" Linda gripped the hospital sheets tightly with trembling hands. Her tears quietly soaked into the clean white sheets. "We have already taken Barbara Wilson and Caitlin Wilson into custody. Criminal negligence, aiding and abetting assault, and..." Suddenly, commotion erupted in the hallway. The sound of nurses trying to restrain someone could be heard. "Where's my wife? Where's Linda?" Michael burst into the room, his face pale with worry. Just back from New York on an emergency flight, he was still in his suit. His tie was loose, and his face showed clear signs of fatigue. "Linda. The baby. We're both fine." Linda managed a faint smile. Michael rushed to her side and gripped her hand tightly. He was still clutching the USB drive for his presentation. "Mr. Michael," Detective Johnson spoke quietly. "Your mother and sister, they're being questioned at the station right now." From the small speaker in the hospital room, the recording from that night began to play. Michael's face grew pale as he listened. Linda's desperate pleas for help. His mother and sister's mocking laughter. The sound of his wife's breathing as she lost consciousness. Mother and Caitlin did this. His hands began to shake. He had received the police notification at JFK Airport and rushed to the hospital without sleeping on the flight, but he hadn't known the full truth until now. Detective Johnson spoke quietly. "We have their sworn statements as well. Their confessions in the interrogation room were meticulously recorded. Linda took my son from me. I couldn't stand the thought of his love being divided further with the baby. We just wanted to teach her a lesson. I wanted my brother's love all to myself. We deliberately took advantage of his business trip." At that moment, a nurse from the NICU entered the room. "The baby's fever has gone down. Father can visit now too." Michael showed a moment of hesitation. Then he gently squeezed Linda's hand. "Let's go see her together. Our daughter." Michael carefully pushed Linda's wheelchair. Mary was still in the hallway, having watched over this family all night. In the small incubator in the NICU, their daughter was sleeping peacefully. She showed a remarkably strong expression for being just 24 hours old. So tiny, but so strong, Linda touched the incubator, with Michael standing beside her. "I'm sorry, if I had noticed." "It's not your fault." Linda squeezed her husband's hand back. "But we need to make changes now." Michael sighed deeply. He had just been promised a promotion in Silicon Valley, but his decision was firm. "I'm going to request a transfer to the Seattle branch." Linda looked up at her husband in surprise at these words. "But your career. Nothing is more important than you and our daughters' lives." Michael's voice was filled with determination like never before. "My leniency toward my mother and sister caused this situation. It's my responsibility. I won't make the same mistake again." The baby in the incubator moved her tiny hand. They both exchanged smiles at her gesture. "I've already contacted my supervisor in Seattle. They have a new project starting there anyway." Hope returned to Linda's eyes. A new life in a new city. It was a place she had secretly dreamed of working as a nurse. The trial for Mom and Caitlin. "I won't withdraw the charges. For our baby's sake." Linda's voice carried unprecedented strength. "This isn't just our problem anymore. Let's leave it to the law." Michael nodded firmly. Though complex feelings remained, protecting his beloved wife and tiny daughter was now his top priority. 1 year later, in summer, a white 3-story house stood in a quiet Seattle neighborhood. Colorful flowers bloomed in the garden, and a cream-colored swing swayed gently in the breeze. Emily, lunchtime. At Linda's call, their 1-year-old daughter turned around in the garden. Though her steps were still a bit unsteady, she ran toward her mother. Looking at her daughter growing so healthy despite being born prematurely, Linda felt deep love. "Daddy's coming home early today." The kitchen was filled with the aroma of warm soup, and fresh salad from Whole Foods was arranged on the table. Drawing from her nursing experience, Linda took care to prepare healthy meals for her daughter. Michael was enjoying fulfilling days as a project leader at the Seattle branch. His career concerns had actually turned out for the better. His capabilities in the new environment were highly valued, and his salary had increased from before. "I'm home." 5 p.m. Michael returned home with a smile. Such an early return time would have been unthinkable in Silicon Valley. His expression as he lifted his daughter showed no trace of his former exhaustion. "Oh, we got an email from Mary," Linda showed her smartphone screen. "The trial is over. May your new life shine even brighter." Just recently, Barbara and Caitlin's trial had concluded. Barbara received a 2-year prison sentence for negligent injury. The defense's request for a suspended sentence was rejected, with the judge delivering a harsh verdict stating, "The responsibility for neglecting to help a pregnant woman in crisis is severe." Caitlin received a suspended sentence, but social consequences were harsher than expected. Faced with social media backlash and complete loss of credibility in the real estate industry, she eventually had to delete her accounts and decide to sell the family home. "Mom and Caitlin are moving," Michael said quietly while holding their daughter. Their San Jose home was already on the market. "They're moving to Dallas, Texas." Her former in-laws chose to leave California completely. Their isolation from the community had been more serious than imagined. "We made the right choice, didn't we?" Linda's words were met with Michael's firm nod. "Yes, absolutely." Their gaze turned to Emily playing in the garden. She was now chasing soap bubbles, squealing with delight. "You know what?" Linda started somewhat shyly. "I got a part-time nursing position offer from Seattle Children's Hospital." Michael's face lit up at these words. "That's wonderful. Emily's getting bigger, and it's great to have a place where your experience can be valuable." Unlike his mother who had dismissed Linda as just a nurse, Michael had always respected his wife's career. "They said I can start with 3 days a week. They'll even help arrange childcare at their on-site facility." The couple smiled at each other. Their new life was steadily taking shape. "We should let Mary know too." The former police officer neighbor remained an important presence in their lives. Even after moving, she always sent Linda her new mystery novels as soon as they were published. "Oh, and there's a neighborhood block party next weekend." Their new home was surrounded by warm neighbors. On weekends, families enjoyed barbecues in their yards. There were many young couples with children Emily's age, and their social circle naturally expanded. At dusk. Seattle's characteristic soft light gently illuminated the swing in the garden. Emily was already asleep, and the quiet melody of a music box drifted from the second-floor children's room. Linda. Michael offered his wife a cup of coffee as she stepped out onto the terrace. Thank you. Because of you, we've made it this far. No, it's thanks to Mary and your strength. In the distance, they could see the sun setting over Puget Sound. Like gentle waves, new days would quietly ebb and flow for this family. Like waves of hope, gradually healing the dark memories of the past.